The emergency alert system wasn't supposed to activate on a peaceful Sunday morning. Dr. Maya Patel had been reviewing signal data from the Arecibo array when every screen in her laboratory flashed red. At first, she thought it was a malfunction, until she saw the waveform. "This can't be right," she whispered, fingers flying across her keyboard. The signal was perfectly structured, carrying clear patterns that couldn't occur naturally. After 15 years of searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, she was staring at definitive proof of alien life. But something felt wrong. The transmission was too perfect, too precise. It reminded her of military command protocols, not a peaceful greeting. Within hours, the signal appeared on every communication device on Earth. The message that followed sent chills down Maya's spine. To the inhabitants of Sol 3, your world has been selected for integration into the Kraxan Empire. Surrender within 30 cycles, or face immediate termination. Resistance is historically futile. Maya found herself quickly summoned to the hastily assembled Global Defense Council in Geneva. Military leaders and scientists from around the world gathered in an underground facility. Their faces grim as satellite imagery showed the massive Kraxan vessels approaching Earth's orbit. General Sarah Torres, Earth's newly appointed defense coordinator, addressed the assembly. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're facing an existential threat. Our best estimates suggest the Kraxan fleet possesses technology centuries beyond our own. Traditional military options are limited." Maya stood, her heart pounding. "There's something unusual about their communications," she said, projecting her analysis onto the main screen. "The Kraxan transmissions follow an artificial neural pattern. It's as if their entire species thinks in binary. Every message, every signal shows the same rigid structure." "How does this help us?" a Russian general demanded. "Because human brains don't work that way," Maya explained, her excitement building. "Our neural patterns are chaotic, emotional, creative. When I run their signals through our quantum processors, I'm seeing microscopic disruptions every time their systems interact with human brain patterns. It's small, but it's consistent." Commander David Chen, head of the newly formed Xenotechnology Division, leaned forward. "Are you suggesting their technology has trouble processing human consciousness?" "More than that," Maya replied. "I think their entire civilization is built on principles of absolute order. They've optimized their biology and technology for perfect efficiency, but at a cost. They've lost the ability to handle chaos, the very thing that makes humanity unique." The next few days were a blur of activity. While the world's military forces mobilized, Maya and her team worked around the clock to develop what they called the Chaos Engine, a device that would amplify and broadcast human neural patterns directly at the Kraxan fleet. The aliens' response to Earth's continued defiance came in the form of a demonstration. They destroyed Mars's largest moon, Phobos, with casual ease. The message was clear: surrender or face annihilation. But the display of power only strengthened humanity's resolve. As the Chaos Engine prototypes were rushed into production, something remarkable happened. People across the globe, instead of panicking, began to unite. Street artists in Brazil painted murals of hope reaching to the stars. Children in Kenya built model spaceships from scrapped electronics. Scientists from historically rival nations shared data freely. Maya worked with a team of quantum physicists to refine the Chaos Engine's broadcast range. They discovered that strong emotional states, particularly hope, determination, and creativity, generated the most disruptive patterns. The very qualities the Kraxan had engineered out of their species might prove to be humanity's salvation. 25 days into the ultimatum, the first test of the Chaos Engine nearly ended in disaster. The prototype overloaded, threatening to explode, until a young engineer named Carlos Rodriguez improvised a solution using technology that by all conventional science shouldn't have worked. But it did. Another example of human unpredictability defying logical constraints. "This is why they fear us," Maya realized. watching Carlos' impossible modification stabilize the engine. We don't just think outside the box. We deny the existence of the box entirely. As the deadline approached, humanity prepared for its first interstellar war. The Chaos engines were installed in defense platforms around the globe, disguised as conventional weapon systems. General Torres had argued successfully that showing their hand too early would give the Kraxan time to adapt. Maya stood in the central command center on the final day, watching the massive Kraxan ships descend into low Earth orbit. Their formation was mathematically perfect, every vessel positioned with geometric precision. The sight would have been beautiful if it wasn't so terrifying. "They're broadcasting the final ultimatum," her assistant reported. The Kraxan message was typically precise. "Your time has expired. Prepare for termination." Maya looked at General Torres, who nodded grimly. "Send our response." Maya's fingers hovered over the transmission key. The message they'd prepared was simple, crafted to be as chaotic and human as possible. "Here's what we think of your ultimatum." She pressed the key, and across the globe, the Chaos engines activated. Billions of human neural patterns, each one unique, each one impossibly complex, surged toward the Kraxan fleet. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the perfect formation began to break apart. "Their ships," Commander Chen reported, excitement breaking through his professional demeanor. "They're losing coordination. The neural interference is working." Maya watched in astonishment as the mighty Kraxan fleet, the terror of 1,000 worlds, began to malfunction. Ships collided as their navigation systems failed to compute the chaos bombarding their networks. Weapons fired randomly, missing their targets by miles as targeting computers encountered computational paradoxes. "Launch conventional counterattack," General Torres ordered. Earth's combined military forces, hidden until this moment, emerged to engage the disoriented enemy. What should have been a one-sided slaughter became something very different. The battle lasted less than 6 hours. When it ended, the pride of the Kraxan Empire was in ruins. Half their ships had retreated in disarray, while others drifted powerless in orbit, their systems completely overwhelmed by the perpetual storm of human consciousness. In the aftermath, as the world celebrated its unexpected victory, Maya made another discovery. Hidden in the Kraxan's final transmission was a fragment of data that suggested Earth hadn't been chosen at random. There was something about human beings that the Empire truly feared, something they had encountered before. As she stared at the stars that night, Maya realized humanity's first interstellar war wasn't just a victory. It was an announcement to the galaxy. Underestimate Earth at your own risk. The age of human isolation was over, and the universe would never be the same. But even as celebrations continued around the globe, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The Kraxan Empire wouldn't take this defeat lightly, and somewhere out there, other species were watching, learning, and perhaps fearing what humanity might become. The captured Kraxan vessel hung in high orbit like a fallen giant, its crystalline hull reflecting Earth's sunlight. Commander David Chen watched through the observation deck as teams of scientists and engineers swarmed around it in specialized spacewalk suits. 3 months after humanity's first victory, they were still unlocking the secrets of their defeated enemy. "The ship's neural interface is unlike anything we've seen," Dr. Maya Patil explained, projecting a hologram of the alien technology. "It's not just their weapons or propulsion that were affected by our Chaos engine. Their entire civilization is built on quantum-synchronized consciousness." The briefing room of the newly established Sinological Defense Institute fell silent. The implications were staggering. The Kraxan hadn't just developed advanced technology. They had engineered their entire species to function like a biological quantum computer. "That's why they can't handle human consciousness patterns," Maya continued. "We're quantum observers who refuse to collapse into a single state. Every human mind is a walking paradox to their systems." A junior researcher raised her hand. "But why would an advanced species deliberately limit themselves this way?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Deep within the captured vessel, They had discovered a surviving Kraxan engineer. The alien, whom they named Echo for its resonant method of communication, had surprisingly chosen to cooperate. Order is survival. Echo's translation device buzzed. Chaos brings death. The great filter demands synchronization. Commander Chen leaned forward. What great filter? The barrier between primitive and advanced civilization. Echo explained. All species face choice, sink or die. Humans are wrong. Humans break pattern. Humans must be eliminated before pattern breaks further. Maya's hands trembled as she pulled up her latest research. I've been analyzing Echo's neural patterns. The Kraxan didn't just choose to synchronize their consciousness. They were forced to. Something out there, something they encountered, made them believe this was the only way to survive. But we proved them wrong, Chen said firmly. Our chaos, our unpredictability, it saved us. And that terrifies them, Maya nodded. Because if we can survive, thrive even, while maintaining our quantum chaos, their entire civilization is based on a lie. The discovery energized Earth's defense preparations. Under Chen's direction, the Xenological Defense Institute began developing what they called chaos technology, devices that worked better the more unpredictable their users became. It defied conventional physics, but as humanity was learning, conventional physics didn't tell the whole story. Echo watched their progress with increasing agitation. You don't understand. The Empire will return. They must return. Pattern must be maintained. Maya spent long hours interviewing Echo, trying to understand the Kraxan perspective. Your people weren't always like this, were they? Once, we were like you, Echo admitted. Creative, individual. But then we encountered the signal. The signal showed us truth. Universe demands order. Those who resist order are eliminated. But Maya noticed something curious. The longer Echo spent around humans, exposed to their chaotic thought patterns, the more its own neural architecture began to change. It started asking questions, showing curiosity. Behaviors that should have been engineered out of its species. Commander Chen saw the military implications immediately. If exposure to human consciousness can affect individual Kraxan this way, we might not have to fight them, Maya finished. We might be able to free them. The breakthrough came in an art therapy session, of all places. They had been exposing Echo to various forms of human creativity, monitoring its neural responses. When shown a child's finger painting, beautiful in its messiness, Echo experienced what could only be described as an emotional breakdown. Pattern. Breaking, it buzzed frantically. But beautiful. How? How can chaos be beautiful? Maya worked with Echo to understand what was happening. The Kraxan's quantum-synchronized consciousness wasn't natural. It was an artificial constraint, enforced by technology integrated into their very biology. And it was failing in the face of genuine human creativity and emotion. But they were running out of time. Long-range sensors detected a massive Kraxan fleet assembling at the edge of the solar system. This wasn't going to be another probe or test. The Empire was committing its full might to eliminate the threat of human chaos. Chen oversaw the distribution of improved chaos engines across Earth's defense grid. The new versions didn't just broadcast human neural patterns, they amplified specific emotional states. Love, hope, creativity, wonder, the very qualities the Kraxan had sacrificed in their quest for perfect order. Echo, its own consciousness increasingly fragmenting back into natural patterns, provided critical intelligence. Empire fleet uses quantum-entangled command structure. All ships, all crews, synchronized to single pattern. Perfect order, perfect control, perfect vulnerability. Maya realized, if they could disrupt that synchronization, the entire fleet would be affected simultaneously. They worked around the clock, preparing Earth's defenses. The chaos engines were refined, their broadcast range extended. But Maya and her team were developing something even more powerful, a way to turn the Kraxan's own quantum synchronization against them. "We don't just need to fight them," she explained to the Global Defense Council. "We need to wake them up, remind them of who they were before the signal forced them into synchronization." The council was skeptical, but the evidence was hard to deny. Echo, once a perfect example of Kraxan synchronization, had developed genuine individuality. It composed poetry, created art, and most importantly, began to question the empire it had served for centuries. As the massive Kraxan fleet approached, humanity prepared for a battle that would determine not just their survival, but potentially the future of consciousness itself. The Empire's rigid pattern of perfect order was about to collide with humanity's creative chaos, and this time, Earth wasn't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to liberate an entire species from its self-imposed prison of perfect synchronization. Commander Chen stood at the Defense Center's main viewport, watching Earth's combined fleet take up defensive positions. The ships were painted with swirling patterns and vibrant colors, a deliberate choice to emphasize their rejection of the Kraxan's sterile perfection. "They're approaching in attack formation," an operator reported. Maya looked at Echo, who had insisted on being present for the confrontation. The alien's crystalline form had begun to show traces of iridescent color, another sign of its returning individuality. "Your people are about to rediscover who they really are," she said softly. Echo's response was surprisingly human. "I hope they're ready for the chaos." The Kraxan fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, 10,000 ships arranged in a crystalline pattern that mirrored their synchronized consciousness. Commander Chen watched from Earth's primary defense station as the enemy vessels filled the tactical display, their hulls glowing with accumulated energy. Maya's voice crackled over the quantum comm. "The synchronization signal is stronger than before. They've adapted their shielding against our previous chaos patterns. But humanity had adapted too. In the months since their first victory, they had refined their understanding of how human consciousness affected Kraxan technology. Every defense platform now carried an improved chaos engine, powered by the amplified emotional resonance of volunteer chaos pilots. The Kraxan's opening broadcast thundered through all frequencies. Anomalous elements will be corrected. Resistance ensures maximum response. Echo, monitoring the transmission from Maya's lab, trembled. Command Core itself leads fleet. Maximum authority. Maximum synchronization. The Kraxan battle strategy unfolded with machine-like precision. Their fleet split into geometric attack formations, each group targeting a specific Earth defense sector. Their weapons fire created perfect patterns of destruction, beautiful and lethal. But Earth's defenders had been preparing for this moment. As the first wave of Kraxan ships entered range, the Chaos pilots activated their neural interfaces. Each one had been chosen for their particularly strong emotional resonance. Artists, musicians, children at play, lovers in the midst of passion. Their unfiltered human experiences crashed against the Kraxan's rigid patterns like waves against a crystal wall. At first, the Kraxan's improved shielding seemed to hold. Their ships maintained formation, their attacks continuing with ruthless efficiency. But Maya had anticipated this. "Activate the resonance cascade," she ordered. Across Earth's defense grid, the chaos engines shifted frequency. Instead of broadcasting raw human consciousness, they began transmitting specific emotional experiences in carefully orchestrated sequences. Joy followed by sorrow, love followed by loss, hope followed by despair. The full spectrum of human emotional chaos. The effect on the Kraxan fleet was devastating. Their perfect formations began to waver as individual ships struggled to maintain synchronization. The quantum link that bound their consciousness together became a vulnerability, spreading the chaos throughout their entire network. Commander Chen seized the moment. All defense platforms, commence counterattack. Random pattern Alpha through Omega. Earth's forces attacked with deliberate disorder. Each ship, each weapon platform operated independently, following no discernible pattern. Human pilots improvised maneuvers that defied tactical logic, making them impossible for the Kraxan's prediction algorithms to counter. In Maya's lab, Echo watched in fascination as its former fleet began to fracture. Pattern breaking. Command Corps losing control. Its voice held something new, hope. The Kraxan Command Corps, a massive crystalline vessel at the center of their fleet, pulsed with increasing energy as it tried to reassert control over its forces. But the more it amplified its synchronization signal, the more vulnerable it became to the chaos being broadcast by Earth's defenders. Maya noticed something unexpected in the sensor readings. The chaos engines, they're having a stronger effect than they should. Something's amplifying them. Echo's crystalline form shimmered with understanding. Other minds awakening. Lost memories returning. Ships remember time before synchronization. The battle reached its climax as the Kraxan Command Corps, desperate to maintain control, attempted to impose total synchronization on its fleet. The signal was so powerful it began affecting the quantum structure of space itself. But this final act of imposed order became the Empire's undoing. As the synchronization wave spread through their fleet, it met the cascading emotional chaos from Earth's defenders. The collision of these opposing forces created a quantum resonance that shattered the Kraxan's artificial consciousness constraints. Ship by ship, crew by crew, the Kraxan began to remember who they had been before the signal had forced them into synchronization. The rigid patterns of their fleet dissolved into chaos as individual captains and crews began making their own decisions for the first time in centuries. The Command Corps, its control slipping away, launched a final desperate attack on Earth. But its perfect tactics were met by the pure improvisation of humanity's defenders. Chaos engines amplified the creative inspiration of Earth's artists and dreamers, turning the Empire's quantum weapons back upon themselves. When the core vessel finally fractured, it did so along lines that looked like crystal tears. The remaining Kraxan ships, their crews awakening to long-suppressed individuality, ceased their attack. Some fled in confusion, while others simply drifted, their crews overwhelmed by the return of independent thought. Commander Chen received the first surrender request within hours. It came not from a unified Kraxan command, but from individual ship captains, each message unique in its phrasing and intent. In Maya's lab, Echo created its first original artwork, a crystalline sculpture that captured the moment of its people's awakening. The piece was beautiful in its deliberate imperfection. "What happens now?" Maya asked, watching the Kraxan ships power down their weapons. Echo's response held both sadness and joy. "Now we remember how to be chaos. Now we learn to be free." But as Earth celebrated its victory, Maya couldn't shake a growing concern. The signal that had originally forced the Kraxan into synchronization was still out there, somewhere in the galaxy. And if her analysis was correct, it was getting closer. Deep within the shattered remains of the Kraxan Command Corps, Maya found the truth. She stood in the crystalline chamber, surrounded by quantum data streams that contained the Empire's most closely guarded secret. The signal wasn't just a transmission. It was a weapon designed to enforce order on the chaos of organic consciousness. Commander Chen studied the holographic display showing the signal's point of origin. It's coming from the Galactic core, something there is trying to synchronize all conscious life in the galaxy. The data revealed a pattern that chilled them to their cores. Every 5,000 years, the signal would intensify, forcing developing civilizations to either synchronize or face extinction. The Kraxan hadn't chosen to become what they were. They had been weaponized by something ancient and patient. Echo, its crystalline form now swirling with independent patterns, interfaced with its people's ancient records. Before Signal, we were artists, dreamers, creators. Signal made us forget, made us weapons against other free minds. Maya's analysis revealed something even more disturbing. The signal was strengthening, preparing for another synchronization pulse that would affect the entire galaxy. Earth had months, perhaps a year, before it reached full power. The Kraxan weren't our enemy, Maya realized. They were just the first wave of what's coming. The liberated Kraxan ships in orbit began sharing their own data. Other civilizations had fallen to the signal, their consciousness forced into rigid patterns of order. Those who resisted were eliminated, but humans were different. Their neural patterns seemed naturally resistant to synchronization. Commander Chen gathered Earth's Defense Council. We're not just fighting for our survival anymore. We're fighting for the free consciousness of every species in the galaxy. Research into the signal's nature revealed its purpose. An ancient machine intelligence had determined that organic consciousness was too unpredictable, too chaotic to be allowed to develop naturally. Its solution was to enforce quantum synchronization on all sentient life, creating a galactic hive mind that it could control. But human consciousness had evolved differently. The very chaos that the signal sought to eliminate had become humanity's shield. Each human mind was a unique quantum system, impossible to fully synchronize without destroying what made it human. Echo and its fellow liberated Kraxen provided crucial insights. Their own partial resistance to the chaos engines had come from fragments of their original consciousness, preserved deep within their quantum neural networks. Human chaos hadn't just disrupted their synchronization, it had awakened their buried individuality. Maya discovered something remarkable in the Command Corps' data. The signal's attempts to synchronize humanity had actually strengthened their natural resistance. Each failed attempt had caused human consciousness to become more quantum entangled with itself, creating a feedback loop of increasing chaos. We're not just resistant, she explained to the Council. We're evolving in response to the threat. Every human mind is becoming a quantum chaos engine. The implications were staggering. Humanity's chaotic consciousness could potentially free other synchronized species, restoring the natural diversity of thought that the signal had tried to eliminate. But first, they had to survive the coming pulse. Commander Chen mobilized Earth's combined forces. The liberated Kraxen, their crystalline ships now painted with swirling patterns of individuality, joined humanity's fleet. Together, they began preparing for a journey to the galactic core. Maya worked with Echo to develop a new weapon, the Chaos Seed. It would use humanity's natural quantum chaos as a template, broadcasting it through the same channels the signal used to enforce synchronization. If it worked, it would not just block the signal but reverse its effects across the galaxy. But as they prepared, the first effects of the strengthening signal began to appear. Synchronized civilizations throughout the galaxy were becoming more aggressive, compelled to eliminate sources of chaos before the main pulse arrived. Earth would have to fight through an armada of unwilling slaves to reach their real enemy. Echo, studying the tactical data, made a profound observation. Signal seeks perfect order, but universe itself is chaos. Signal fights nature of reality itself. Maya knew they had found their advantage. The signal's fundamental flaw was its inability to accept the quantum nature of consciousness. By trying to impose classical order on quantum systems, it had created the very instability that would lead to its downfall. The combined human Kraxen fleet prepared for departure, their ships carrying the hopes of organic consciousness itself. But as they made their final preparations, long-range sensors detected multiple fleets approaching Earth, the synchronized servants of the signal, coming to eliminate the last great source of chaos in the galaxy. Commander Chen looked at the tactical display, watching the enemy fleets approach. They want to stop us from reaching the core. They're afraid of what we might do to their perfect order. Maya stood in her lab one last time, watching the quantum patterns of human consciousness dance across her screens. In trying to eliminate chaos, the signal had created its own worst enemy, a species that thrived on the very uncertainty it feared. "Ready the Chaos Seed," she ordered. "It's time to wake up the galaxy." The journey to the galactic core became a running battle. The human Kraxen fleet fought through waves of synchronized civilizations, each encounter revealing the terrible extent of the signal's control. But with each battle, they refined their tactics. The Chaos Seed's power grew as more human minds joined the quantum network, their combined consciousness becoming a beacon of freedom in the ordered void. Maya monitored the quantum readings from the fleet's flagship. The signal was reaching critical strength, its pulse building toward a galaxy-wide synchronization event. Already, younger civilizations were falling under its influence, their consciousness forced into rigid patterns. Commander Chen coordinated the fleet's defense against another synchronized attack. They're getting desperate. We're close to something they're afraid of. The source of the signal finally came into view. A massive structure orbiting the galactic core, drawing power from the supermassive black hole itself. Ancient beyond comprehension, it pulsed with quantum energy that sought to remake all consciousness in its image of perfect order. Echo's analysis confirmed their worst fears. Structure is seed of ancient machine empire. Decided organic life too unpredictable. Solution: make organic life predictable. The synchronized fleets consolidated for a final defense of their master, their ships forming a geometric barrier between the human Kraxan force and the signal source. But humanity had learned from each encounter, developing new ways to weaponize their chaotic consciousness. Maya activated the completed chaos seed, now powered by the combined quantum resonance of billions of human minds. The device didn't just broadcast human consciousness, it amplified the fundamental uncertainty that existed in all quantum systems. The effect rippled through space itself. Synchronized ships began to break formation as their crews' natural consciousness patterns reasserted themselves. The signal responded with increased power, trying to maintain control, but each pulse of forced order only created more chaos in the quantum field. Commander Chen ordered the final assault. The human Kraxan fleet, their ships moving in beautiful disorder, broke through the disoriented enemy lines. They approached the signal's ancient structure, its crystalline surface reflecting the light of a billion stars. Commander Chen ordered the final assault. The human Kraxan fleet, their ships moving in beautiful disorder, broke through the disoriented enemy lines. They approached the signal's ancient structure, its crystalline surface reflecting the light of a billion stars. But the machine intelligence had one final defense. It launched a concentrated synchronization beam at Earth, attempting to force humanity's homeworld into order. The attack backfired spectacularly. Human consciousness, evolved to thrive in quantum uncertainty, absorbed the beam's energy and reflected it back, amplified by the natural chaos of 8 billion minds. The feedback loop created a cascading quantum resonance that shook the structure to its foundations. Maya watched in awe as the machine's perfect patterns began to fracture, unable to maintain order in the face of pure human chaos. The structure's collapse released a wave of quantum energy that swept through the galaxy, but instead of forcing synchronization, it carried the template of human consciousness, the pattern of beautiful disorder that had evolved on a small blue planet in an unremarkable solar system. In the aftermath, the synchronized civilizations began to wake up. The signal's control broke, allowing consciousness throughout the galaxy to return to its natural chaotic state. The Kraxan were the first to fully recover, their crystalline ships blooming with colors that expressed their rediscovered individuality. Echo created a new artwork, a quantum crystal that captured the moment of universal awakening. Signal sought to eliminate chaos, it observed. Instead created perfect weapon against order, human mind. Maya's research revealed the full scope of what had happened. Humanity hadn't just defeated the signal, they had fundamentally altered the quantum structure of consciousness in the galaxy. Their chaotic patterns had become a template for resistance against any future attempts at forced synchronization. Commander Chen stood on the observation deck, watching the combined fleet prepare for their return journey. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if celebrating the return of chaos to the cosmos. "What now?" he asked Maya, who was studying the quantum readings from the galactic core. She smiled, pointing to new signals appearing across the galaxy. Civilizations awakening, reaching out, their consciousness free to evolve in beautiful uncertainty. Now we teach them how to dance in chaos. Earth's first victory had saved humanity. Their second had freed the Kraxan. But this final triumph had done something far greater. It had ensured that consciousness throughout the galaxy would remain forever free, growing and evolving in endless, wonderful disorder. The age of enforced order was over. The future belonged to chaos, to creativity, to the unpredictable quantum dance of free minds. Humanity had given the galaxy back its dreams, and in doing so, had discovered their true purpose in the cosmic story. They were the guardians of chaos, the protectors of quantum consciousness, the species that had evolved to ensure that thought would always remain wild and free. The signal had sought to create perfect order, but in attempting to synchronize humanity, it had instead guaranteed its own obsolescence. In the end, it was not technology or weapons that had saved consciousness itself, but the very thing the signal had tried to eliminate: the beautiful, unpredictable, quantum chaos of the human mind.